Our glories to the assembled devotees. Our glories to the assembled devotees. Our glories to the devotees. Our glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Mukam karoti vakshalam bhangam langayate girim yakipam tamam vande Sri Guru Tirthavinam Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjara Shalakaya Kshumiritam Yena Tassamai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I'd like to welcome you to the second and last day of our seminar on Bhagavad Gita at a glance. We did the first 9 chapters yesterday, and today we'll finish the Bhagavad Gita and do the last 9 chapters. It's going on and off, huh? Okay. Yes, well, we will try to be steady in our presentation, even though the sound may not be. So here we have chapter 10, part 1. And Krishna is the origin of all the sages, the demigods, and so many qualities. He's also the origin of intelligence, knowledge, pain, pleasure, distress, happiness, satisfaction, all these qualities. Krishna is the origin, so whatever is happening to you, the origin is Krishna. And whatever you're doing, the origin is Krishna too. So then we go to the Chaturshloki, the 4 seed verses of Bhagavad Gita, and the first one is described in verse 8, how Krishna is the origin of everything, the creator of everything, everything's coming from him. And the devotees who know this worship him with all their hearts. And this takes us to verse 9, where the devotees are, here we have the 6 Goswamis discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, deriving great happiness and pleasure from this discussion. And then chapter 10, they get enlightened. Bhagavad Gita is giving enlightenment in the heart. Here's Gita in the heart. Krishna is enlightening. He enlightened Arjuna, and he will enlighten us also, because he's still here with us in Bhagavad Gita. And you can take advantage of his association. So the lesson in this, again, we learned some lessons, and then I'll ask you the lessons, end of the picture, but it's already the end of the picture, so I'll just tell you the lesson, and you can try to remember it. So by performing pure devotional service constantly, one pleases Krishna and gets enlightenment in the heart. So this is the lesson for this verse. This picture. Next picture, we're going to hear about the opulences of Krishna. This chapter is entitled Opulence of the Absolute. So here we have Arjuna. He's asking Krishna, please give me more nectar. And nectar is about your opulence. He wants to hear. He says, I accept everything that you've told me. And this is the way to understand Bhagavad Gita. As Arjuna says, I accept everything. He doesn't reject any part of Bhagavad Gita as unimportant, but he accepts the whole Bhagavad Gita, and that's how we should also accept Bhagavad Gita. So then he asks, please describe your opulences, and here we have a beginning of Krishna's opulences. The beginning, middle, and end of everything is Krishna. Shiva, Himalayas, the horse Uchai-shava, the king, elephant Airavata, the cow Kandarpa. Yes, Kandarpa is Cupid. Krishna is also Cupid. And the snakes, he's Ananta. I'm going to read verse 25 from part 2 of chapter 3. If I can find it. Yes, here it is. Of vibrations, I am Om. Of sages, Brigu, of great fame. I am immovable Himalayas. I'm chanting of the holy name. So that's we have here. He's Japa, chanting Japa. He's Om, he's the Himalayas. And much more to come. Microphone is okay. More opulences. Here we have time. Lord Brahma, the letter A in the alphabet, first letter. Purifiers, I am the wind. Weapons, I am Rama, welder of weapons. I am beast, I am the lion. I think I fixed it, yeah, maybe. You think it'll stay? Good try. All right, we'll start up there. And I am immortality and death personified. Among women, fame, fortune, speech, memory, intelligence, and faithfulness. So these are more opulences of Krishna. I'll read verse 36. I'm the gambling of the cheats, of the splendid I'm the splendor, I'm strength of the strong, I'm victory and adventure. All-pervading supersoul is the next section. In the lesson we learn here, when we see the glorious things of this world, great mountains, beautiful flowers, the lion, the sun, then we should remember they are a spark of Krishna's opulences. They are just a spark. So this is all-pervading supersoul. This is the end here. You should know that everything is a spark of my opulence. And that's again the end of the chapter, so I'll keep going. We're on chapter 11, part 1. Now Arjuna is asking to see his universal form. But he cannot see with his present eyes, so Krishna is giving him divine eyes. So he can see the universal form. And Arjuna is now seeing, and he's Arjuna's vision, hundreds of unlimited eyes and mouths and forms and hands and fire and effulgence, all at once, everything in the universe all in one place. So imagine if you could just see all the planets and everything in one place at the same time. That's what Arjuna saw. So we'll go on, divine effulgence. And effulgence was blinding. Effulgence was blinding. Just to look at the sun is bad enough, but if you were to see the universal form, it's like hundreds and thousands of suns rising at once in the sky. And so, yeah, he had to have special eyes, otherwise your eyes would be finished. Just try looking at the sun. Even during the eclipse, there was just a couple of eclipses. You're not supposed to look. You can ruin your eyesight. And it's also inauspicious. So Arjuna was bewildered here. He's completely bewildered. He's seeing all the warriors rushing with full speed into the mouths of the universal form. There's 2 analogies. I'll read one of the analogies. This is chapter 11, part 2. Verse 29. All people madly rush into your mouths, a blazing pyre, as moths will quickly fly into a blazing fire. So here's the moths going into the fire. Here you don't see it in the West. Perhaps you don't have candlelight much, but in India we do. And they make a sound when they go in the fire. Put, put, and that's the end of their life. They just go into the fire. And then here we have just like rivers flowing into the ocean, so that's another analogy. Everybody's going into their mouth, all the warriors on the battlefield are going into the mouth of the universal form. So it's a pretty ghastly scene. Arjuna is afraid. He's asking, who are you? And Krishna's instruction, Krishna says, time I am. Time I am, destroyer of all. Except for you Pandavas, all soldiers will fall. Get up and fight, regain your kingdom's government. Though I've killed all enemies, you can be my instrument. So this is the first lesson here from verse 33. The battle has already been won, and we just have to be the instrument. So that's our lesson here. We have to be the instruments. Already all the devotees are made, everybody, the whole world's chanting Hare Krishna, but we have to be the instrument to bring that about. And we get the credit. So Arjuna is praying here now. He's offering prayers to universal form. I read verses 41, 42. Though we've eaten together and I've called you Krishna, my friend, Please forgive all my offenses I've committed without end. So this was Arjuna's main fear. He was afraid he made an offense to Krishna. I didn't know you were God like this. It's quite a surprise. And his friendship changed to bewilderment, but now he's remembering his friendship again. He couldn't forget that, and that's a lesson. Although Arjuna is overwhelmed by astonishment, he cannot forget his friendly relationship with Krishna. Here they are, eating together. He couldn't forget that. So what was the first lesson we learned in this chapter? Yes? The battle's already won. And what should we do? Sit down and be happy? We have to be the instrument. Yeah, we have to be the instrument. Yeah. Battle's already won, and Krishna just sat down in the chariot and said, okay, Krishna, thanks a lot. I don't have to fight. No, we have to do service for Krishna. Even though the battle is already won, we have to do service for Krishna. And the second lesson was about Arjuna.
Krishna gave him the vision to see.
He gave him the vision, and so he became overwhelmed by astonishment. But then one thing he couldn't forget, his friendship with Krishna. Yeah, it was still there. It was still there. Good. So we go to the last part of chapter 11, part 4, Arjuna's prayers, more prayers. Now he's asking to see the two-arm form of Krishna, four-arm form and two-arm form. Welcome. And so Krishna's supreme form that's here, he revealed his most beautiful four-arm form and then his two-arm form, which is the extreme in beauty. It is the topmost. Even the Narayani wants to see the beauty of Krishna. And he did that at the end of Srimad Bhagavatam. He stole the sons of a Brahmana just so Krishna and Arjuna would come and take the sons back to Dwaraka. So even Narayani desires to see this beautiful form which Krishna is showing now. And the lesson is from verse 55. My pure devotee, free from sinful activity, friend to every entity, will surely come to me. So the lesson is pure devotion. One can know Krishna only by pure devotional service. Yes. Actually, that's from verse 54. By pure devotional service can I be known directly. Okay, we'll go to chapter 12, very special here. Panchatattva has appeared in chapter 12 here, somehow or other. They managed. So I'll tell you the story in a few minutes. Arjuna asked the question, what is better, bhakti or impersonal meditation? And of course the answer is bhakti. And this is the first lesson. Why is bhakti better? Because it's easier and it's more natural. Because our constitutional position is to be a servant. So according to our nature, it's easier to meditate on the form of the Lord than the impersonal Brahman. It's very difficult. This is verse 2 of chapter 12. Yes, verse 2. Yeah, that describes the difficulties here. Verse 2, I can't find it, 3, 4. Anyway, it's there. Yeah, he's chanting Hare Krishna and cooking in the kitchen and washing pots. He's got a lot of pots to wash. Yeah, he's happy with his service of washing the pots. Yes, this is for all those pot watchers in the kitchen. I don't know if they're there now, but this verse is for you. Bhakti is more happy. We heard that yesterday. It's one symptom of bhakti is happiness. You are happy doing it. I'll read verses 6 and 7. For one devoted to me without deviation, I deliver him swiftly on the path of liberation. So here we have at the top of the picture Krishna picking up the devotee from the ocean of birth, and death. But there's some special added thing here in Kali Yuga. Here we have the Panchatattva pushing up from behind. Yes, so thank you, Panchatattva. We need all the help we can get in this Kali Yuga. And so Panchatattva is giving us the push we need to make it back to Godhead. It's very difficult in this age to worship Krishna, so therefore Lord Chaitanya has come in Nityananda. Because to worship Krishna, you need so many qualifications, avoid the 10 offenses. But with Lord Chaitanya, he doesn't take offense. Nityananda, they don't take offense. So therefore we need him. And okay, then the last section, progressive stages of devotion. I'll read verse 8. Just fix your mind on me with intelligence in me. Thus without a doubt you will always live in me. So, but if you can't do that, you say, oh, that's really nice to always think of you, but difficult for me. Can't do that. Do bhakti yoga. Here's a lot of variety of activities you can do. And that will make your mind engaged in spiritual service. And if you can't do that, then just help a devotee somehow. Give a donation or help out with some service. And that will be good. And if you can't even do that, all right, just do some good work in this. Do some pious activities. And there's the indirect path, which is karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga. But we are taking the direct path. Prabhupada compares it to a lift in the building or an elevator. Why should you climb the stairs if you've got to lift it? If you can take the lift to the 100th floor, why take the stairway? So, and this stairway takes many, many births. So even if you try, you will not be successful unless you take to bhakti. This is the way. For this age, chanting the holy name is the easiest way. Okay. What was the lesson we learned here in this picture? Yes? Mm-hmm. The best devotee? Okay. Yes, good. The devotees are better than the impersonalists. Great. Okay.
Bhakti yoga is more natural.
It's more natural, yeah. It's easier and more natural. Yeah, just imagine trying to meditate on the white light. I mean, you'll really be bored. You'll really, it's hard enough meditating on the holy name, Krishna, in japa, but imagine if it was just a blank screen. Very difficult meditation. Okay, so now we're in chapter 12, part 2, devotional qualities. Only one section here. And here Krishna is washing Sudama's feet. Because Sudama is a kind friend to everyone. And then Krishna said, one who is like that, he is very dear to me. Ananya's friend. I'm going to read verse 6. Here's the hunter. He's not causing difficulty to the ants when Narada Muni comes to see him. He's the hunter who became a devotee of Narada Muni. Here's Srila Prabhupada in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. I'll read verse 16. Pure, expert, without cares, independent of common activity, not striving for some result, my devotee is dear to me. So if you watch the video of Prabhupada, he's in the middle of these drugged out hippies. They're dancing around him in a circle, boys and girls together. And they're half drugged out, but he's so happy. He says, now my movement is starting. This is now my Krishna consciousness. Sarinam Sankirtan is starting. He's very happy. He has all these qualities. You can see them in the video. Then detached from happiness and distress. And here in verses 18, 19, I'll read. One who is equal to friend and enemy, fame and infamy, from contamination free, is very dear to me. So here we have, this is an actual true story also. This was in Chechnya, Russia, when there was a war in Chechnya, in Georgia. And devotees were were making food for life. There was no electricity, only bombed out buildings. They would search for water and dodging the bombs. And they were feeding both sides of the war. Everyone was coming nobody had food. So here we have a soldier from the other side. Here we have a Muslim from another side. Everybody was coming to eat from ISKCON Food for Life in that war. And so that is free. They were equal to friends and enemies. So Kshetra and Kshetragya, this is chapter 13, Nature of the Enjoyer Consciousness. Kshetra means the body, and Kshetragya means knower of the body. We have all the different senses. We have two knowers. One knower is the soul, and one knower is the super soul. And they're in all the bodies. But the super soul knows all bodies, and the soul only knows his body. So that's the difference between the two knowers of the body. And here, process of knowledge starts with humility and pridelessness. Because if you know everything, what can you learn? Who can teach you anything if you know already? If you know everything, nobody can teach you. You have to be humble to learn something. And devotion, to me, that's the most important. The lesson is pure devotional service gives all good qualities. So if you want any of these good qualities, then you have to do devotion to Krishna. And that will give you all good qualities. So that's the lesson here in process of knowledge. Object of knowledge, again, is soul and super soul. So he's the knower and he's also the object. Soul is also the object of knowledge. So what was the lesson we learned from process of knowledge? Pardon me?
The first step is the humility.
Humility. It starts with humility. Good. Good. And what's the most important of all the 18 qualities? Yes? Pure devotion to Krishna. Good. If you have devotion, you have everything. If you have $1 million, $10 is included. So here we go to part 2, Prakriti and Purusha. Person, the energy and the person. Prakriti and Purusha. So material nature causes all activities and effects. But the living entity, we cause our suffering. We cause our suffering. It's our choice whether to suffer or to enjoy by how we behave ourselves in this life. And Super Soul is just witnessing. Again, this is like chapter 5, where we heard the soul is responsible for his karma. And how to realize the Super Soul. In the previous ages, they used to do karma yoga, karma, jnana, and ashtanga to realize Super Soul. But in this age, we cannot follow these paths, so therefore, just chanting and hearing the holy name. Here's some lucky person on the street who's hearing the Harinam, and he's going to transcend the path of birth and death. Just by hearing the holy name. That's a wonderful verse in Bhagavad Gita. Just by hearing, doesn't say the holy name, but of course, what are you going to hear? You're going to hear Bhagavatam, the holy name, Bhagavad Gita, and you can transcend the path of birth and death. And that is the lesson. Simply by chanting and hearing about Krishna, one can achieve liberation. And the second part, vision of knowledge. Here we see the soul everywhere, like the sun. The soul is in the body and gives consciousness to the body. I'll read verse 32. The soul is transcendental. That's the vision of eternity. Despite being a material nature, he has no material affinity. Good. So that one who sees the super soul along with the individual soul is not entangled in the body and achieves a transcendental destination. So what was the lesson we learned over here in the first section? About how to get liberation. Chanting and hearing. Yes, yes, very good. Well, we should all chant and hear about Krishna. And we will go to chapter 14, part 1. Krishna as Father. Krishna gives the seed, and that's true for even nowadays. Krishna gives the seed. Without the living entity, there will not be a child in the womb. They don't realize that. You need Krishna also there. Krishna, the living force is coming from Krishna. And the body is given by the father and mother. The body is the mother. Mother gives the body. So, but the original father is Krishna. And that's the lesson. Krishna is father of all species of life. Not just the human beings, the cats, the dogs, the trees, the bugs. Everybody is a child of Krishna. And one time we were one of those, but we don't remember now. We were once a bug. We were once a dog or cat or a lion or elephant. So many births we have passed, and we cannot remember. And every birth, Krishna is our Father. So then we go. This chapter is about the modes of nature. So conditioning of the modes. Here's the modes of nature, controlling people in different gunas, modes. What you get from the mode of goodness is happiness, conditions you to happiness and knowledge. Passion conditions you to the activities, the fruits of action. Ignorance conditions you to madness, indolence, illusion, inertia. Here we have characteristics of the modes. Goodness is purifying. Purifying illuminates you with knowledge. Passion makes you attached to your fruits of action, to your activities. Ignorance makes you sleepy and mad and go to the mental institution. So, what lesson did we learn here in the first section about Krishna? Krishna is the Father. Good. Don't forget, Krishna is your Father. So if you have any complaints, go to him. You have to pray to Krishna. Oh. Okay, let's see, next one, part 2 of chapter 14. Right. So here we have results of the modes. Mode of goodness, you go to heavenly planets. Passion, you go to this planet. Ignorance, you go to hell. Or become a dog. Or go to hell. Or both. Go to hell and become a dog. Prabhupada also says that you get trained up in hell how to live in the different animal bodies. You're trained up to eat stool, trained up to eat flesh. So that's why people go to hell. So I'm going to read verse 18. Those in goodness go to heaven, those in ignorance go to hell, while those in mode of passion on earthly planets dwell. So, don't go to hell. You've got your choice. Nobody here will go to hell. Everybody's in Bhagavad Gita class. So, definitely that will save you from going to the lower planets. So, let's see. Results of the modes. Now we want to transcend the modes. That's the last section here. In chapter 14, he's breaking free of the modes of nature by chanting Hare Krishna. So I'm going to read verse 26. One engaging in devotion without deviation transcends the modes of nature, attains Brahman situation. So lesson is engage in devotional service to transcend the modes. Now, chapter 15, part 1, we have a picture of this material world as an upside-down banyan tree based on desire. And the spiritual, it's a reflection of the tree in the spiritual world, which is also based on desire. So that's where we want to go, to that banyan tree. Let's read verses 1 and 2. There's a banyan tree with upward roots. Dharmartha kama moksha are its fruits. Some roots are also going down to fruitive actions being bound. Some branches are lower, some are higher, but all are situated on desire. This material tree is a dim reflection of the spiritual tree, which is Veda's perfection. So we have to cut this tree here. He's cutting it with the weapon of detachment. The problem is we don't want to cut the tree of our material attachments. We think it's quite a nice tree. But no, we have to someday or other. If not now, then at the time of death. It will come. You will become detached. And transmigration is over here. Here we have the spiritual world, no sun, no moon, nor electricity, you don't need it. And here we have the soul struggling in this material world with the mind. Here's the mind, it looks like our mind. And then we have the senses also, the different senses, and we're struggling. But there's a really good news part of this verse is that we're eternally individuals. And that's the lesson. We are Krishna's eternal fragmental parts. So we never lose that. Even though we come into this world and we get covered by a material body, we don't lose our spiritual individuality. We have a spiritual personality, which is never lost. It's always with us. So here's transmigration. He's changing bodies. And already he's starting to look like a tiger by eating meat, or look like a cow by eating cow. Next life he'll be a tiger. And he goes to hell and learns how to eat other people, and they eat him. He also feels what it's like too. And so you don't want to go there. Don't eat meat. And here the devotee is able to see this transmigration, but the non-devotee cannot see with his telescope. I'll read verse 8. From body to body brought by conceptions of his mind, the conditioned soul wanders as aromas in air we find. So what was the lesson here in this picture? Cut the tree of material. Okay. Attachment. All right. What's another lesson we learn here in this chapter? Yes? We are eternally individuals. We have our spiritual personality, which we never lose. Even though we're covered with this material body. So, chapter 15, part 2, Krishna is the maintainer. He's here as the moon, and who supplies the life to all vegetables, the juice of life. He's super soul and keeps the planets in orbit. He's the fire of digestion in the stomach. He gives knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So that's the lesson. Krishna causes us to remember and forget, so we should pray to always remember him. I'll read verse 12. From me comes the sun, which turns darkness into light, and from me comes the fire and the bright moonlight. So here's the sun and the moon, the fire. These are all coming from Krishna. So you can remember Krishna during your day just by going in the sunlight, which is supposed to be a sunny day today. Hopefully it will come out again. So then, summary Vedanta Sutra Brahman Paramatma Bhagavan. Here's Paramatma, here's Bhagavan, all described in this section. But Krishna, if you know Krishna, you know everything. So I'll read verse 18. Beyond all living beings, Krishna says, I'm transcendental, worshipped by all persons as the Supreme Personal. If the lesson here, if you know Krishna, you know everything. You know Brahman, you know Paramatma, you know everything in the Vedanta Sutra. Krishna is the essence. So we'll go to chapter 16, part 1, transcendental qualities. For the sannyasi includes fearlessness, and cultivation of knowledge. For vanaprasthas, the quality is austerity. And for grihastha, sacrifice and charity. and for brahmachari's Vedic study. And there's other qualities for all four varnas. Nonviolence, truthfulness, forgiveness, and being non-envious are all ashramas. Then we have the dhamaniya qualities. We have dhamaniya qualities. I'll read verse 8. They say this world's unreal. In God they do not trust. The world's produced a sex desire and has no cause but lust. So that's the modern day philosophy. Freud, everything is caused by lust. And so here's a mad scientist who has made the nuclear bomb, and he's using it to destroy, weapons of destruction. That is what's happening with demoniac mentality. How to destroy people faster. They say they're going to prolong life, but actually, if you look at what they're doing the opposite. They're making life go faster. Making life go faster. So, lesson here, demonic activities lead to bondage and destruction. We'll go to part 2, demonic nature. Here's somebody they're stealing and killing and breaking all the 4 negative principles. In the name of religion also, they're enjoying sense gratification. You see this in Vrindavan. I'll read verse 10. Obsessed with lust, pride, false prestige to increase their enjoyment. They work so hard at horrible jobs attracted by the impermanent. But the Yamadutas will not leave them. They will come and take them. And that's the results of demonic activities. They go to the lower species. Krishna says, I throw them down to lower species. Here we have snake, scorpion, spider, all envious and biting people. But the worst thing you have to be careful of are the 3 gates to hell. 3 gates, lust, anger, and greed. I'll read, and that's the lesson. Lust, anger, and greed should be rejected as they lead to hell. So I'll read here. The 3 gates to hell, lust, anger, and greed, verse 21, should be shunned by all sane men. To degradation of soul they lead. Well, that's the lesson here. I just told you. So, chapter 17, worship and food and the modes. Yeah, he's worshiping his car, but I mean, it's not funny because I see people in ISKCON doing car puja. Also, in India, I don't know if they do that in the West. But in India, they bring their cars to the temple and they do car puja. For a new car, like having a new home, so you inaugurate your new car. So he's asking, well, how do I know what's in the modes? So then Krishna describes worship in the modes. Here we have the ghost worship. We have the bankers, worshiping the bankers, or some famous men. Athletes, movie stars, politicians, they are the ones who people worship these days. And then we have demigods, worship, 3 kinds of worship, the different modes. Then we have food in the modes. So I'll read about healthy, juicy, sweet foods are in the mode of goodness. Bitter, sour, hot, salty foods are in passion. Here he's got lots of chili. So don't overdo the chili. The mode of goodness is fruits, vegetables. Mode of passion is decomposed foods, dead meat, unclean, tasteless. I'll read verse 9. Bitter food, sour, salty, hot. Will passionate people please? Such pungent dry food surely cause pain, distress, and disease. So lesson, foods in passion cause pain, distress, and disease. Now be careful. You'll know it after you eat, you get a pain in the stomach. You've eaten food in the mode of passion. Distress, disease, acidity. Sacrifice in the modes. Here we have in the mode of goodness and transcendental. And the devotees should act in the mode of goodness at least. And hopefully that will, if you add devotion to it, then it will be transcendental. And here we have passion. He wants to get something from the demigod Lakshmi. Here we have ignorance. They're sacrificing some human. Prabhupada said that's still going on somewhere in India, in the whole countries, hilly states. So sacrifices, yes, be careful. What lesson do we learn from food?
Food in 3 modes.
Food in 3 modes. And what happened? What about food in the mode of passion? Pain, distress, and disease. Oh, don't do it. Be careful. Especially when you get over a certain age. I don't mention any numbers, but we know. So here we have austerity in goodness, worshiping the superiors, austerity of the body, austerity of the words, reading the Vedas, speaking the truth, austerity of the mind, satisfaction, simplicity. And here we have charity and austerity in the mode of goodness, and austerity in passion, worshiping to get some benefit, like we heard Maharaj telling us about the people on the train as wanting some blessings from Prabhupada. Here he's going to a sadhu, they're going to ask for something. And austerity in the mode of ignorance. Hiranyakashipu doing his austerities in the mode of ignorance. His body went down to a skeleton. So we don't do those austerities, no. So I'll read verse 16. Austerity of the mind means simplicity, serenity, self-control, and gravity, thinking with great purity. So here we have, he's eating prasadam, so he's really happy and satisfied. So even if you can't have it otherwise, when you're eating prasadam, at least, you should be happy. So then charity, in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Here we have some wino, some bum, who is going to go and buy some liquor after you give him the money. And Om Tat Sat, that's the last section here. All sacrifices, charities, and austerities should be used with the chanting of Om Tat Sat, Supreme Absolute Truth. Okay, we'll go to chapter 18, part 1, Karma Yoga. Again, question, which is better, sannyas or tyag? And Krishna answers that real renunciation is to give up the results of one's work and perform one's duty with detachment. So that's real renunciation. He doesn't say this or that, but he says just do your work with a sense of renunciation, with detachment. Give up the results of your work to Krishna. And that's how grihastas purify their money, by giving donations to the deities in the temple. Jnana Yoga, the 5 factors of action here: performer, supersoul, endeavor, place, and senses. And most important is the supersoul. Then we have knowledge in the modes. In goodness, you see in all creatures the one soul. Everyone is spiritual, is a soul. But in passion, you see different bodies. Oh, that's a turtle, that's a kangaroo, And in ignorance, you watch the TV with your dog at your side. No knowledge. No knowledge here. But yes, they don't even care about getting knowledge. I'll read verse 20. In the mode of goodness, one gives out of duty, free of expectations, to Krishna's devotee. Action in the modes, goodness, passion. Here we have You can see this was made 10 years ago, so this computer is outdated. They used to have these big, like, TV screens instead of the small things we have now. We have, yeah, but he's working, he's all night on the computer. There's the stars and the moon showing, because he wants to be number one. And here is action in the mode of ignorance. This is a true story. My friend in India, she was out on book distribution in one village, and unfortunately she took one snake charmer's place. And he sent a snake to bite her. Snake bit her, and her leg all swelled up. Then she went to the next village, and another snake charmer chanted mantras, and the poison went out. Yeah, so the hospital, they can't really help too much. But the snake charmers are good at mantras. So yeah, but this guy is not, he's doing some impious, he'll get impious credits here by attacking a devotee. Performer in the modes. Here we have in goodness, here detached, enthusiastic, and resolute, even though people give you trouble. In passion, envious, greedy for the fruits. In ignorance, cheating, working against the scriptures, morose, and procrastinating. So these are different modes of nature. Understanding in the modes. Mode of goodness, you know what is binding, what is liberating, what is to be feared and not to be feared, what is proper work. In passion, you don't know what is religious and irreligious work. You can't distinguish what is right, what is wrong. And in ignorance, you see religion as irreligion and always striving in the wrong direction. And there are cases like this in Vrindavan. People dress up as sannyasis, but then they have many women also. Determination in the modes. Here this little kid is trying to chant Hare Krishna, the whole family is against him. Unbreakable determination with control of the mind, life and senses. Passion, you want to get results. Unfortunately, his japa is not in a good state right here now. And ignorance, determination and ignorance means no determination. Here he is back at the TV with, he can't even get the food to his mouth, he's so laid back. Happiness in the modes, what is like poison in the beginning and nectar at the end, because so many knows. No TV, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. And here, but now he's happy, chanting in front of Balaram. And then passion, happiness in the beginning, and unhappiness in the end. Ignorance is bliss. They're not, yeah, they're just, that's their happiness, blank at night, just to sleep. If people work hard the whole week, on the weekend they think, the more they sleep, then the happier they are. This is their happiness. The more they can just chill out and forget the world. Happiness and ignorance. But and so the lesson here is happiness and goodness gives ultimate pleasure. I'm going to read verse 36. Okay. Mode of goodness, pleasure, seems like poison purification. That's verse 37. But ultimately, one tastes nectar of self-realization. Verse 36, 37. And that's the lesson. Happiness and goodness gives ultimate pleasure. So then we go to the top here. We have the conclusion that no one in this world is free from the three modes. The whole universe is controlled by the three modes of nature. So what lesson did we learn here in this picture? Many lessons. Oh, just give us one.
Happiness in the beginning is the poison.
Yes, the beginning is like poison, and the end is like nectar. So it gives ultimate pleasure. Okay, and yet what other lessons?
No one in this universe is free from the three modes.
Yes, no one is free from the three modes in this world. Yeah, so don't think you're free. We're still trying to be a devotee. Okay, next. Part 4 of chapter 18, Worshipping Krishna through work. A lesson, if you dovetail your work for Krishna, all impurities are removed. So here we have the 4 varnas and ashrams, worshipping Krishna and becoming purified. Then worshipping Krishna through Jnana Yoga. So I'll read verse 54 and 55, important verses. One who has gained Brahman realization is free from desires and lamentation. Seeing equally all beings, he gains pure devotional service, real liberation. Only by devotional service can we, the Supreme Lord, understand. Being fully in love with Krishna, we enter Goloka, his spiritual land. So that's the lesson. By devotional service, one can understand Krishna and go back to home, back to Godhead. And the first lesson, anybody remember?
All different people with different qualities.
Different people, different qualities.
Worship Krishna.
Worship Krishna and they become purified. You can get purified. No matter what your occupation is, you can get purified by worshiping Krishna. With your occupation, unless you're a butcher, then you have to change occupations. Don't kill cows and things. Right. All right, by devotional service. Surrender to Krishna. So here, all obstacles are overcome if you engage in devotional service. You go back to Godhead. So Arjuna is now almost ready to fight. Krishna is encouraging him to fight. So don't think you won't fight if you don't fight for me. And here we have the super soul in the heart, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam. We are on a machine made of material energy, sitting on the machine, and super soul is guiding us. So that's verse 61. Verse 65, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, you will come to me. And 66, give up all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. So everything that Krishna has instructed now, he's saying, forget it. Just surrender. It's easy. He's making it easy now. This is a lesson. By surrender to Krishna, one is free from sin and has no worries. So do it. Just do it. And the last part of chapter 18, Arjuna agrees to fight. So Krishna promises one who preaches Bhagavad Gita, here he is in verse 68, will gain pure devotional service and go back to Godhead. I think I'll read that. Verse 68. For one who explains this secret to the gentle devotees, devotional service is guaranteed and he will surely come to me. So lesson, one who preaches is guaranteed pure devotional service and going back to Godhead. And then Sanjaya is very happy, and at the end we get the answer to Dhritarashtra's question. Wherever there is Arjuna, wherever is Krishna, there will be victory. So that was the concern of Dhritarashtra, and now his question is answered. And then he has to see the rest of the battle, how it happens. The battle is already won by Krishna and Arjuna. And his sons will be the losers, which means they will all die. They will not come back from the battle. Because that's how they fought in the previous days. If you die, you lose. If you're alive, you win. You know, that was it. And the leaders had to die. It was like leaders were out on the battlefield. So when the king dies, when whoever's the king, then that's it. You lose. And the next person is king. Not like you send out the innocent young boys to fight and you stay protected in your palace. Okay, so we'll stop here. And any questions or comments on this? last 9 chapters.
I'm so bad with numbers, but some pages ago there was mention this Om Tat Sat.
Om Tat Sat, chapter 17, part 3, part 2.
Could you explain a bit about
Yeah,
doing it?
I don't know much about it, but except it says in Bhagavad Gita, this represents the supreme absolute truth. We know Om represents, oh my Lord. Tat means eternal, or that means that Lord, and Sat means eternality. You know more about that, Maharaj? Om Tat Sat?
In a couple of Srila Prabhupada quotes from the Upanishads.
The Upanishads, yeah.
Responding.
Yes.
It remains a big mystery for me, but there's something similar. I mean, in one sense, there's something similar in Islam when you say something before you do it, and if you feel that you cannot say that before you do it, then you should not do it.
Should not do it. Okay.
So it's like something that whatever you do, if you say Om Tat Sat, and then it's like.
Well, it's to make everything perfect. I think it's more to perfect your sacrifice. Like it said, when they perform sacrifices, they would say this Om Tat Sat. So it sounds like it would make the sacrifice perfect if you say that.
The final purification.
Yeah, like chanting the holy name, that would make everything purified. Chanting the holy name. You have a question?
So in Bhagavad Gita it's mentioned that sacrifice without offering food, without prasadam is in the mode of ignorance. So it means that when we go to the street and chant that not distinguish prasadam.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to see that, where it says that, to see the context of what Prabhupada says. But sometimes Prabhupada is very heavy to make us. He was so much into prasad distribution. Anybody would come in his room. He would not let anybody go out without prasad. Anybody would come to see him. And one time in India, I was in Calcutta, and Prabhupada gave a message that whoever comes to the temple must have halava, puris, and sabji. Said anybody who comes, you're in India, you know. How many people come to the temple? Calcutta, not so many, but can you imagine? Bombay, of course, when Prabhupada was here, we didn't have the big temples. He said, now you have to cook and be ready. All the temples. He was so much into prasad distribution. So, just to convince us that it's very important for us to do prasad distribution. So he will say things like that. Of course, chanting of the holy name, how can it be in the mode of ignorance? But he's saying that we are, I think he's talking about us, that if we forget prasadam, then we're in ignorance. If we forget to bring prasadam to distribute, then that's our fault. We should not, it's like, watch out, don't do it. Maybe it's like a little curse there. If you forget prasadam, then he was so much into prasad distribution. Yeah, any other?
In your presentation, like this part, at least 3 times, as I noticed, it was mentioned that one should be a kind friend to all living beings. Or seeing
Kind to all living beings.
In order to achieve pure devotional service. Can you mention something about that?
Well, he said one who is kind to all beings is very dear to me. So if you want to be dear to Krishna, then this is read chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita and see your behavior. And you should read chapter 17, from verse 23 to see what Om Tat Sat means. Yeah, if you want to be dear to Krishna, and if that's really important, we want to be dear to Krishna, then one who is dear to Krishna exhibits a certain behavior. That's why we gave Prabhupada as an example of someone who is dear to Krishna, how he behaved when he went to the West. He's very dear to Krishna. He was pure, expert, without cares. He didn't worry about he was sleeping on the floor, and in old age. I mean, that's really hard. I mean, we did it when we were young for 18 years in India, but now it would be very difficult. Now, at the age that, I'm close to the age that Prabhupada came to America. So, yeah, little over. And that's when he was sleeping on the floor in New York. And he didn't have any windows in his flat. It was just an office or something. No bathroom, no shower, no kitchen. Very difficult. Very difficult. He did it, and that's why we're here, because of him. Any other questions? Yes.
What point do we surrender all methods or religions? And what does it mean to surrender?
What does it mean to surrender and forget all other dharmas? Well, basically it's...
At what point in life?
At what point in life?
At what stage?
At what stage?
Yeah.
Do we give up everything?
Yeah, because
Well,
Arjuna
Prabhupada said you can do it immediately. It's our choice. When,
because Arjuna,
yeah, he did it after he heard Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada many times said, after you hear Bhagavad Gita, then you should surrender. At that point. When you actually, after reading Bhagavad Gita, you should surrender. That's the point in your life. So, and in chapter 2, he says that it can be in a second, or it can take many births. So it's basically our choice. It can happen in the beginning, it can happen in the middle, it can happen, hopefully, before you die.
but does it mean you give up chanting also? Because that's also a method.
Surrender means chanting. Chanting means surrender. So no, you don't give up chanting. You don't give up devotional service. Yeah, that's the one you're supposed to accept.
Because sometimes he translated to methods also.
Translated?
Instead of religion, he said give up all methods also.
Yeah,
So
give up all methods and surrender to me. So what does it mean to surrender to Krishna? It means to chant his name. That's the process. You surrender to the process that we're following of bhakti yoga. And you give up karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, those other processes you give up. That's what you're meant to give up. What he described as the ashtanga yoga process, Arjuna said, I can't do it. So but so foolish, people in Kali Yuga think they can do the ashtanga yoga process. But it's better to, in the beginning, to realize, no, it's beyond me, I cannot do this. Yeah, these are the things. Give up the New Age religions. Give up, that's, there's so many. That's what you're meant to give up. Those dharmas. It was very funny in the early days, one lecture, Prabhupada quoted this verse, Sarva Dharmam Parityaja, give up all varieties of religion, surrender to me. So Prabhupada told us, you've already given up all varieties of religion, so just surrender, it's easy. He said, we've already done that part. You've given up, you're completely out of religion. And so, yeah, it means your predetermined ideas of what is worship, what is religion, your predetermined ideas. And so then it was good in America. We didn't know the demigods. We didn't know. We said, Krishna, why not? Why not? He's cool. He has long hair like we. And he's playing the flute. We're all musicians. And he's running free in the fields and the pastures. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Let's accept him as God. God, for hippies, it was easy to accept him. Yeah, we didn't have religion, really. We didn't have, and Prabhupada taught us what is religion, what is. So yeah, it was easier now. Now, if you go to the yoga groups, they'll say, I follow Shiva, I follow Ganesh, it's come now to America, so it's more difficult now than when Prabhupada came. Now they have much more other kinds of dharmas, other kinds of religions. So many. I don't know if has anyone counted how many religions there are now in the world? I don't know. Anybody counted? Yeah. Any other questions?
Related to this
came up that in the time which Prabhupada came, it was a hippie time and it was easy to accept, and but what about now? As you mentioned, people are either very intelligent and very educated, and or following new age idea and this Ganesha or this and that, and or other usual. I mean, so is it the time to change our preaching method?
No, the same thing that worked then works now. You don't preach the philosophy to everyone. You just give them prasadam and the chanting.
Okay.
And that's what worked for us. Because we accepted the chanting and the prasadam, then we could become Krishna conscious. So the same thing, if you accept the chanting and the prasadam, that's the same thing that happened with us. It's the same. But process is the same. Chant, dance, and eat.
Yes, but even for the prasad and the chanting of the holy name is the consciousness of the person who cook, who offer, and who chant is very important. Is it right like this?
But even if, yes, the consciousness is important, that's a fact. These are subtleties. These are subtleties.
So
but Krishna sees the good.
Of course. But it reminds me that I heard I read somewhere that Prabhupada mentioned that, okay, now we are enough. It was some number.
Boil the milk.
And we have to work on ourselves to become really Krishna consciousness. Then we can change the world. So.
Well, that's always true.
Yeah.
We have to work on ourselves.
Yeah, of course.
And he lectured on that even when he was there. That we have to not only accept the positive process of chanting. We have to take out the weeds, avoid the offenses. There's two sides that we have to work on. We have to do that. But the process is the same now as it was when Prabhupada was here, the chanting, dancing, and eating. And that's going on. And people are coming because of that. Yes, Labangalati.
Can I comment?
Yes, you can comment.
I think a difference is not so much in the process, but in what we are doing. Back in the 80s, we had 4 Sankirtan parties traveling in Sweden. We had Harinams every week.
Exactly.
And we had free distribution of prasadam. And then something happened, and now we're still practicing devotional service, but we're a smaller group and we don't have a Sankirtan party. And of course, our impact on society will be less.
Right.
And when there is this Sankirtan, it's not that the person you preach to necessarily becomes a devotee, but when Krishna sees that all the preaching is going on, then those people will find us in the middle of this.
Yeah, it was interesting. When I just came from Stockholm. There's no temple; it's just in Brahma, but new people are finding it somehow. Somehow they're finding the temple. Last Sunday, 3 new people were there. And how they found it, we don't know, because it's not anywhere. Yeah. So it's still going on. But there's, as you say, the more Sankirtan and outreach there is, then the more of course, people will join. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Okay, Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.